Welcome to another episode of Live Chat with James. It is a new era in Canada. Well, somewhat anyway. The election results are still coming in, but for the majority of the election counts and the vote counts, they have been tabulated. And it appears that some things will change, but many things will remain the same. And that is Mark Carney leading the country towards a future that has to deal with, of course, the tariffs and trade wars. He also has to deal with other issues such as Canada's presence in NATO and our commitment to defense spending, among many other things. So again, that is a result of tonight's election, that Mark Carney will be leading the nation as the Prime Minister moving forward for the next 4 years. And as we look at that, of course, we also know that the Conservatives have picked up some seats and had the best showing in the polls in the election count. I believe it's since 1988. Which means that the Liberal Party does not have a majority, and they do not have enough seats in the NDP or any of the other parties that could form a majority by partnership, as we had seen previously with the NDP and the Liberal Party with that joint agreement. Now, of course, this is not the only news that's coming out of the election. As I predicted last week, that we may see some party leaders losing their seats in their own ridings, and that has happened. It appears that Pierre Poilievre has lost his riding, and we've also seen Jagmeet Singh, who has lost his riding. Now, traditionally or historically, when the leader of a party loses their seat in their riding, they generally tend to resign and hand over the leadership to a new race and a new leader. Now, of course, we know now that Jagmeet Singh has stepped aside as leader of the NDP, so that will open up another leadership race for the NDP. It appears, though, that Pierre Poilievre, even though he's lost his riding, is not ready to step aside. He is going to try to lead the Conservative Party, which I think was the biggest mistake the Conservative Party had coming into this election. I truly believe that had the Conservative Party had the balls to get rid of Pierre Poilievre, and if Pierre Poilievre would have been gracious enough to step aside, they could have actually won this election. It is a very close election in terms of historically looking at where the seats are. Conservatives picked up some, and of course the NDP lost some. Again, I think that the Conservatives made a huge error in calculation when they decided to continue moving forward with Pierre Poilievre. There are many reasons for this, and some of those that I personally feel, and again, these are my personal opinions on this, not anything to do with polls or anything else, but I do believe that had the Conservatives chosen a new leader with a new platform, or at least been able to articulate a platform better than just using bumper sticker slogans and being considered a Trump 2.0 or, a Trump parrot, I think that the Conservatives could have done much better. Now, they had a substantial lead in the polls over the Liberal Party just a few months ago. Unfortunately for the Conservatives, with Trump's real polarization, not only in the US, but in Canada, it polarized a lot of the voters. And when people saw such close resemblance between what Pierre Poilievre was repeating out of the Trump campaign, I think that it really caused a lot of fear in voters that abandoned ship on the Conservatives, or that were undecided, that could have gone Conservative had they have made that change from Pierre Poilievre. Again, that's my personal opinion. Maybe there were other factors that played into it, but again, it is, at the end of the day, a new day for Canada. We do not have a majority government. Hopefully, we can at least have a government that will get things accomplished, including standing up to Donald Trump and the trade tariffs. The big problem that I see is that As we've seen recently, that when the Conservatives don't get their way, they like to try to call a non-confidence vote in the Parliament. And I do think that we're going to see some instability in the government over the next 4 years. I think that there's going to be a honeymoon period, but I also think that it depends on how much that the Liberals are willing to work with the Conservatives to give them enough concessions that they will help to move the overall government forward, and that's what we can hope for. We know that there, as I said, is a lot of geopolitical stress in the world. There is a lot to deal with. When it comes to NATO, when it comes to the war in Ukraine and Russia, and so many other issues around the world, that we need strong leadership and we need a clear direction moving forward. So hopefully, no matter what party that you vote for or voted for, that you are able to put all of the partisan politics behind, and we move forward as a stronger nation for a better future for the next generation. So let's try to remember that it's not about the politics right now, it's about our nation. We need to come together and to be strong, shoulder to shoulder, as they say, elbows up, to move towards a better tomorrow for our next generation, but also for our economy in the closer range. Now, let's take a look at some numbers. I will bring you some numbers and let's see where we are at, ladies and gentlemen. So at this point, a total of, let's see where we're at here. Required for the majority is 172. The Liberals currently are at 167. The Conservatives 145. The Bloc Québécois at 23. The NDP at 7. Other is at 1. So again, that depends on where we're at the end of the night, but currently that's where we are sitting according to Elections Canada. Now, as we move down here, I will I'll bring you a couple of the parties that you may never even have heard of. Like, there is a federal party in Canada called the Animal Protection Party. Excuse me, I don't know if that's led by Snoopy or Garfield or what. But there is actually an Animal Protection Party, and they got a whole 1,238 votes across the country, which is 0.0% of the vote. So I just thought that was funny. The Bloc Québécois received 1.2 million votes, just over 1.2 million, at a percent of 6.7%. So that is 23 seats. So that'd be 6.7% of that. With that said, we also see that their for their number of votes is a 6.5%, so very similar that way. And just getting a refresh here. Is there anything? No? Okay, so the Centrist Party, I've never heard of myself. I don't know who they are or anything about them, but they did get 4,028 votes. Let's see, what else have we got here? The CFP got 0% of the seats, 0% of the vote, with a total vote count of 3,066. The Christian Heritage Party, or CHP, the California Highway Patrol? No, just kidding. The Christian Heritage Party received 9,862 votes, and again, that brings them in at 0 seats and 0% of the vote overall. The Communist Party, what a shocker, did not get any seats and or electoral districts. 0 for them, 0% of the seats, of course. They did get 4,993 votes for a 0.0% of the voting public. The Conservative Party now, 145 electoral districts, according to Elections Canada. That brings them in at 42.3% of the electoral districts, and for a total number of votes at 7,726,722, bringing them in at 41.5% of the total votes. The Green Party, they have received 1 electoral district so far. That brings them in at 0.3% of the electoral districts. And then for total votes, they received 227,041, bringing them in at a 1.2% of the vote. So that's where they have ended or landed. We seem to have lost our connection with Elections Canada, so just bear with me for a moment, folks. We'll try to get that back here. Our count. With that said, though, of course, so as we know, we seem to have lost connection on several things here, so that's good. Not good, but it explains where our Elections Canada system went. It appears that we actually lost connection with a bunch of things here. So where are we at, though? So without a majority government, it's going to make things a bit more challenging to move forward with that. Again, the Liberals have definitely taken the lead in this election. They will be leading the country to go forward, but without a majority again. As we move forward, we'll have to hopefully see some type of responsible leadership in both parties. Whether or not Pierre Poilievre knows how to do that, I'm not sure. Now that the election is over, will Pierre Poilievre get off his ass and get his security clearance? That is another question that we don't know. But at the same time, he lost his seat in the riding and has not released a statement that he's willing to give up his leadership of the Conservative Party. So could be interesting, because generally that's what would happen when you as a leader don't get the seat or your riding. So we'll see how that plays out in the coming days. Will he be pressured by the rest of the party to step aside and allow some fresh blood to take over, to take it forward? We'll have to see. But again, I think that Pierre Poilievre was the biggest fall down or the biggest detriment to the Conservative Party in this election. I don't think that I don't believe that it was at his doing that the Conservative Party did gain some seats. I think actually quite the opposite. I think that he hindered what could have been a successful outcome for the Conservatives overall. With that said, of course, it is speculation, so I don't hold speculation out to be the gospel truth or the facts. I just give you my opinions, and I am clear that it is just that, my opinion or speculation, so just so we don't confuse the two. But back to Elections Canada, we have our connection back. So again, the Green Party, I believe that the one riding that they did win or are expected to win, I believe is actually Elizabeth May's, and that surprised me. I thought she might lose her seat in this election as well, but I believe that she's actually won her seat. That's the one riding that is there. But again, I'll have to go in and double check the facts on that just to confirm. I do believe that's the case, but again, I'll have to double check it. So again, the Green Party got 1.2% of the vote at 228,645. Independents, zero electoral district for the independents, 0% of the seats, of course, with a total vote count of 33,445 thus far, with a total percentage of voters at 0.2%. Now we get to the Liberal Party, 167 in terms of the ridings in the districts. So the electoral districts, they have come out at that point, and we just got a refresh. Hasn't changed from the 167. Conservative on the refresh, still at 145. So that's where we're at. Now, to give you a context here, Now, the Liberals got 48.7% of the electoral districts versus 42.3% for Conservatives. Now let's jump over to the number of votes. The Liberal Party got 8,093,795 votes, or sorry, 795. So a total of 43.4% of the votes. And again, when you go up to the Conservatives, they received 41.5% of the vote. There's not enough opportunity here for that to change in terms of really any big impact, I don't think, overnight. The Libertarian Party received 5,712 votes. That is 0% of the seats and 0.0% of the overall voting. The Marijuana Party, I guess, were too stoned to get off the couch to go and vote, because the Marijuana Party only got 129 votes, which was probably friends and family that he supplies for, I guess. And I don't even know if it's a he, I'm just saying. The Marxist-Leninist Party, oh, hold on, we just got to refresh there. Let's see if anything changed. Nope, still the same number of seats for now, so no point in worrying about that. The Marxist-Leninists, let's see, they beat the Marijuana Party. They got 5,450 votes versus the Marijuana Party's 129. Yeah, maybe get a food truck out at the local polling station next time for the Marijuana Party. Give them some free munchies or something. As for no affiliation, there was 0 ridings won there, or electoral districts, 0.0% of the seats, of course, 4,974 votes for 0.0% of the total votes cast. The Rhinoceros Party, I was surprised they're still around, but they got 7,180 votes. And then you have the People's Party, 136,659% of the, or sorry, 136,659 votes. That is 0.7%. So again, that brings them in at a 0.7% of the total votes, but 0 ridings or electoral districts won by them, and 0.0%. The United Party of Canada, 0 seats or ridings, electoral districts, whichever way you want to call it, for a 0.0% of the seats. And then, of course, the total votes for the United Party of Canada was 6,137, bringing them in again at a 0.0%. We just got another refresh here, so a few more votes calculated, but no seats have changed in terms of what I can see here. So no changes in the number of seats so far for our ridings electoral districts. So that's where we are at, folks. A total of 343 electoral districts with a total vote count of 18,682,434 so far. With that said, let's see the polls reporting so far and the voter turnout. So let's take a look here. We've got 74,234 of 75,479, which means that it is a 98.35% reporting. And voter turnout, the claim is, or the registered voters versus turnout, 18,682,434 of 28,525,638 registered electors. So it's about 65.49%. It does not include electors who registered on election day when they went to vote. So again, that could change slightly, but I don't. I'm not too worried about that number. That's more just a bit of trivia there than it is anything that's going to make a substantial difference. So that's where we are at here in Canada with the election, folks. I hope that we can move forward as a nation, stronger, better, and with a clearer vision. Now that hopefully we can put aside all of the insanity that's been the last few years. Let's move forward to a better tomorrow. Let's demand some cooperation out of all politicians and make it happen. So at least we hope anyway. For those of you who have just joined, thank you for tuning in. We are going to move on from election news in a moment. But first, I just want to bring up that again, Jagmeet Singh has resigned as the leader of the NDP party as he lost his seat in Burnaby. The Burnaby Central riding was his in electoral district. However, it is no longer. He has graciously stepped aside, feeling that that is in the best interest of the party. He has represented that riding for quite some time now, but he's also been a very vocal supporter of many initiatives, whether that is to crack down on foreign interference in Canadian politics and Canadian society, whether it has to do with the transnational repression at the hands of India or other governments within the borders of Canada, impacting Canadians from various different ethnic groups and minorities, or his success in partnering up with the Liberals in order to further his agenda for a better future when it comes to Medicare, when it comes to helping the lower income Canadians with the cost of life-saving medications and life-preserving medications. And of course, the dental program being incorporated and rolled out. So he has made a significant difference in the lives of most Canadians in one way or another. Once again, Jagmeet Singh has stepped aside as the leader of the NDP party. It is with deep respect and appreciation for all that he has done for Canada as a nation and all he has done for equality, for standing up for all minorities and all Canadians. Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. No matter what the future holds for you and your family, I hope that it brings much success, happiness, and joy, and of course, longevity. Thank you very much again, Mr. Jagmeet Singh, for all you have done for our nation. So with that, let's move on to the next topic of the evening. Now, of course, everybody is still trying to grasp the facts and the gravity of the events that took place just a few days ago here in Vancouver. Now, an individual has been charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder. And with that, of course, there are other charges that will come down the pipe that will be introduced by the Crown Counsel and by law enforcement to the Crown presenting evidence and such. Now, the Crown is the independent part of the judiciary here in Canada that will decide here in British Columbia what charges are laid and when they are laid. That is the job of the police to investigate the crimes and to work with the Crown to provide all of the evidence. And then the Crown makes the decision at that point whether or not charges move forward. With that said, there are many reports coming in. There are many videos, many images that you will see online. And unfortunately, some of them are graphic. Some people are using this shock and awe to gain clicks and to gain followers on social media. That is unfortunate, but at the same time, it is their right to do so, I guess. One thing that we haven't done is shown any graphic images or videos, even though I was down at the location overnight after it happened, and they're into the early mornings, or I guess late morning the following day. There were opportunities to get photos that could have been used for shock and awe, as some people are doing, but that's just not the type of journalism that ProPix Canada participates in. We want to bring you the facts, we want to bring you the visuals, but we don't want to glorify the lives that were lost in terms of, we don't want people to look and see that type of imagery and re-victimize them in that regard. But again, as journalists, we have a responsibility to bring the truth, to bring the stories, and to bring you the facts. So we do capture images, we do capture video, but again, we are very cognizant and and aware of what we are capturing and what we want to deliver to our audience. Now, with that said, let's take a look at some of the updates here in terms of where we are at with this investigation and with the suspect. Now, with that said, of course, there have been reports from news outlets around the world, and rightfully so. We've also seen a lot of condolences and messages of support to the community. Coming in from world leaders, from the king and his wife, and others that are of significance around the world, but more importantly, from just everyday people like you and I, people who are feeling the pain, who are sharing the concern, and really want to try to help the people to recover that were there. It's going to be a long and arduous process for those who were directly impacted by this criminal event, by this violent offense. And as the court process moves forward, it will not move forward it will not move forward quickly. We do have certain time restraints in Canada on cases to ensure that there is a fair and speedy procedure that is followed in the court system. But at the same time, there is still mountains and mountains of evidence that they must go through and organize in order to bring a fair and just conclusion to this matter. It will take time and it will take patience. And unfortunately, in such an emotionally charged environment of such deeply hurtful actions that were taken by this individual, it is sad. But again, it's going to be very important for everybody to keep their patience, as hard as it is, but to help each other, to come together as a community, as we have always done in good times. Now, in the bad times, we need to come together even more so. We cannot allow events like this to separate, to divide our communities. We need to allow it to come together so that we can stand proud, we can stand tall, and we can be there for those who need us at this time in our community. Now, the individual that has been charged, his name is Kai G. Adam Lowe. Apparently has had significant number of interactions and history with police and healthcare professionals related to mental health issues. It should be noted that according to documents presented so far, that he does not have an actual criminal history, but he does have a lot of mental health issues. When he was apprehended by people at the scene of the incident, he was holding his hand to his head, apologizing. But again, we don't know a lot more from his point as to what's happened. And my apologies, let's pause that there for a moment. In any event, so yeah, he is responsible for the deaths of 11 people, the injuries of dozens of others, and that count could increase over the coming days or weeks. So that's a really sad event. The ages of those impacted that were killed range from 5 to 65 years old. We have heard, or at least I know that there have been people online talking, and not just to media, but also online through social media platforms, claiming that baby was also deceased. But from what we know so far, the youngest that died from the incident was 5 years old. Again, it's hard to say. There's still a lot of information coming out on this. Now, the black Audi SUV that the individual was driving, again, there is people out there talking about information that this individual who has been charged potentially may have tried to drive through a Thai festival the previous week. But again, we've got no confirmation of that, so please be careful about what information you are spreading out there. The idea is to get the facts, the information, and the truth out, not to spread the rumors and that. So, and I bring that up just to really try to encourage you to do your fact checking before you share information on these events. It's going to be a tough enough recovery for the city and for the victims of this senseless act of violence. We don't need to compile that with false narratives and false information. So please check your facts before you spread them. Now, Vancouver, according to the last census, which took place in 2021, counted 38,600 residents of Filipino heritage, representing 5.9% of the city's total population. And again, that's the city of Vancouver. That's not reaching out to the surrounding communities of Burnaby, Richmond, Surrey, Coquitlam, Port Moody. It's a very large area for Metro Vancouver in the Fraser Valley, with a very large and very culturally diverse, culturally diverse population. So again, there are a lot of Filipinos in the Vancouver area, and our heartfelt condolences and sincere thoughts and prayers are with all of them. There are many others that have put statements out and talked to organizations such as the Associated Press, the Canadian Press, and other agencies. So you're welcome to do those searches and get information from the eyewitnesses that were on scene that were unfortunately directly impacted in that way. Excuse me. So there's a lot of information out there that you can still look at. Once again, the charges have been laid, and now we wait to see what happens next. It's going to be a tough road ahead for all of those involved, and for the community to heal. It will also, of course, have a very dramatic effect on future events that are held in Vancouver, whether that be smaller community fundraising events or large festivals such as this, or the Vaisakhi Parade, the Taiwanese Parade, the Christmas Village. Again, all events will be looked at in a different light from this way moving forward, unfortunately, and that's just the reality of it, folks. Let's take a look here. I'm going to bring a video up on the screen behind me. I just have to get it pulled up here, and I will move out of the way for a few minutes to allow you to watch this. And this essentially is looking at a message that and some footage of the scene as we try to encourage people to come together to find healing and support for one another. There have been reports of unauthorized or illegitimate fundraisers on GoFundMe and other platforms, so please be aware of that. Don't fall prey to that. There is the Georgia Straight newspaper has been publishing a list of verified GoFundMe accounts that are, again, verified to people in need after the tragedy. So again, go to straight.com, and you can find on the Georgia Straight newspaper there, you can find where they have in their city and cultural section list of verified GoFundMe accounts that are associated for victims there. So again, that is, I encourage everybody to use that as a real benchmark to get to the right ones, because I don't want to see people giving money away to support the victims and it turns out that they're fraudulent. So again, if you go to the Georgia Straight newspaper at straight.com, you'll be able to find verified GoFundMe accounts. I will turn the volume up to this behind me so you can actually hear it. Someone close to me being intentionally run down and killed on the streets of Vancouver. It is something that even decades later I still recall. Whether it is the heart pounding fast and the anxiety when I hear screeching tires, whether it is the sounds, the smells, and other sensory impacts when I wake up from the nightmares of reliving that event. These things will live with you for a lifetime, but they do get easier to deal with, to live with, and to use as strength to move forward and to remember those lost in a positive way. It will never be totally gone from your mind. It'll never be forgotten. It will change the way that you live from day to day, and it will impact you for years to come. There's no shame in reaching out to get help, though. If you are struggling with getting through this tragic event, if you witness the horrifying actions of this individual, reach out and get some help. It's not a sign of weakness, but instead a sign of strength. I've been there and I know how tough it is. I know the nightmares. I know when you don't sleep because of the nightmares that you... Okay, so that's just a bit of a message in calling for unity and support of the community to come together in a positive way, to remember the victims and to honor their legacy moving forward. That whole video that you see on the screen behind me is on our page here on TikTok. It's on also our YouTube and other channels, so you can watch it in its entirety there. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. Sorry, the cat wanted up on my lap and just clawed me. Go. So anyway, sorry about that. Moving forward, yeah, we will bring you more information tomorrow night, as we anticipate there will be some updates tomorrow. And we'll also have some other research and information available through the court services and such. So we will bring you what we can, keeping in mind also that there may be certain publication bans on information given the sensitivity of this overall event. So we'll do our best to keep you updated on that. With that said, let's take a look south of the border, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening yet once again. Donald Trump is facing impeachment. I know you're so shocked, aren't you? I know I am. Okay, maybe not. So yeah, right now there have been articles of impeachment that have been brought forward, and I'm going to go through them here. I'll read them out to you as they are. So, number one, the Article 1 is abuse of power. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives shall have the sole power of impeachment, and that the President shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, in his conduct of the office of President of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of the President of the United States, and to the best of his ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. Donald J. Trump has abused the powers of the presidency in that. All right, this is where it gets interesting. Using the powers of his office, President Trump solicited the interference of a foreign government, Ukraine, in the 2020 United States presidential elections. He did so through a scheme or course of conduct that... Oh, sorry, I'm just double checking something here. Okay, so he did that, where was I? Okay, to publicly announce an investigation that would benefit his re-election, harm the election prospects of a political opponent, and to influence the 2020 United States presidential election to his advantage. President Trump also sought to pressure the government of Ukraine to take these steps by conditioning official U.S. government acts of significant value to Ukraine on its public announcement of the investigations. President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct for corrupt purpose in pursuit of a personal benefit, political benefit. In doing so, President Trump used the powers of the presidency in a manner that was compromising the national security of the United States and undermining the integrity of the United States democratic process. He thus ignored and injured the interests of the nation. President Trump engaged in this scheme or course of conduct through the following means. Okay, so it goes down the list here, and it is quite a long document, so I don't want to get too far into reading it all because it is quite lengthy. I think what I'll do is I'm just getting a lot of this information, and it goes from that point, and then, of course, right up to more current actions. There are 7 articles, I believe. But again, we will cover that in more detail tomorrow. But at the end of the day, it all comes down that in all of this, President Trump has acted in a manner contrary to his trust as president and subversive of constitutional government, to the great prejudice of the case in law and justice, to the manifest injury of the people of the United States. So again, we'll go through this in more detail tomorrow night, but essentially there are now articles of impeachment being introduced, basically claiming that Donald Trump has or is being impeached or should be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors. And again, we will go forward with that tomorrow night in more detail as I can summarize it given to you at that point. And my apologies, the first Article 1 was actually combined in there, and that was actually for the background, and that was actually from December the 18th, 2019, not from the current events. So again, we will correct that and bring that to you tomorrow, so you can disregard the section of that to do with Ukraine, because that's been dealt with already. And the new articles of impeachment, my apologies, the documents were mixed up in the research papers here. So yeah, I will get that sorted and bring that to you tomorrow night with the updated articles of impeachment that are being introduced in the United States against Donald J. Trump. So again, we'll correct that and have that for you tomorrow night. My apologies for the confusion there. But in any event, let's get rid of that and move on to the next quick story that we wanted to cover tonight. And that is a suspect has been arrested in a car bombing in Russia. There we go. We are just having some technical issues. My apologies, folks. But in regardless, let's move on to the next story. And that has to do, as I said, of a man that's been arrested, suspected of being responsible for the killing of a Russian general with a car bomb. He has pled guilty to terrorism charges and said he was paid by the Ukrainian Security Service. And that is according to the Russian authorities. The investigative committee said that Ignat Kuzin admitted that he was paid to kill Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik, deputy head of the main operational department in the general staff of the Russian armed forces. Moskalik was killed Friday by a bomb in his car in Balashnikha, just outside of Moscow. Now, again, they are claiming that he was paid by the Ukrainian security forces to plant that bomb and to assassinate that lieutenant general. Again, his name was Yaroslav Moskalik, and we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out, ladies and gentlemen. But it gets even deeper of the plot, we'll say. It thickens. Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov was killed December the 17th, 2024, when a bomb hidden on an electric scooter parked outside his apartment building exploded after he left for his office. And again, that is another general who was assassinated in Moscow. And that is another one in which the Russian government claims that the Ukraine Security Agency was behind that attack. They also claim that the Ukraine Security Agency acknowledged that it was behind the attack of Mr. Kirillov. That was, again, December 17th, 2024. But most recently, just the other day, we know that the Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik was killed in the car bomb that took place in Moscow. And again, they are accusing the Ukrainian Security Service of being responsible, but I guess that's what happens when you are in an illegal war and trying to annex a nation and take over through violence and bloodshed. So again, it's pretty tough to feel any sympathy for Russia at this point. But any loss of life is, of course, a sad day. But again, we shouldn't be seeing loss of life if this war would just be over, if Russia would respect the sovereignty of Ukraine and get the hell out of Ukraine, and that's what it comes down to. But again, when we looked at the articles of impeachment that were brought forward in 2019 against Donald Trump, because Ukraine spoke out and provided the evidence that Donald Trump tried to pressure them to lie about certain facts to influence the U.S. election in 2020. Of course, that probably has something to do with why Donald Trump seems to be pushing more of the Russian agenda in peace talks than he is Ukraine, because we know that Donald Trump is very vindictive. He likes to hold a grudge, and he likes to use his power and exude his authority to get payback against people that he feels have slighted him in the past. And of course, because Ukraine spoke out about the potential corruption and the actions of Donald Trump in trying to get Ukraine to lie for him to help him win to win that election, again, that would explain a lot as to why Trump continues to push the agenda on behalf of Russia, in my opinion anyway. Kirillov was under sanctions from several countries, including the UK and Canada, for his actions for the fighting in Ukraine. That was the individual, as I said, that was killed in December of 2024. And then, of course, the most recent attack in Russia was another lieutenant general. So again, we'll watch and see how this plays out. Now, keeping in mind that the former general that was killed, Kirillov, was the chief of Russia's Radiation, Biological, and Chemical Protection Forces, and this is a special area that is tasked with protecting the military from enemies' use of nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons and ensuring operations are safe in contaminated environments. So, that is how it works. It should be noted as well that Kirillov's assistant also died in that attack in December. But again, from what we know so far, they are again accusing Ukraine of the most recent attack that they claim that Ukraine paid the individual by the name of Ignat Kuzin to kill Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik. So that is where we are at in terms of the most recent attack in Russia and the updates on that information. With that said, of course, we know that there is a lot of change going on in the world. And tomorrow night, as I said, we will take a look further at Thenodor, who has brought forward the impeachment in the House of Representatives or into the Congress. But again, I'll bring you more of that as we summarize and really try to compress that information. And again, we'll also discuss the previous impeachments of Donald Trump and how they compare to what the current articles of impeachment are looking at like. So again, that'll be tomorrow night. For now, folks, thank you for tuning in. It was a lot of different information in tonight's show. We will definitely bring you more tomorrow night on all of these stories and others. We'll give you updates on the final election counts and what that means for the country going forward here in Canada. We will bring you updates on the articles of impeachment that are being brought forward against Donald J. Trump. And we will, of course, bring the latest updates as well on the tragic events that happened a few days ago in Vancouver. And hopefully we can move forward as a stronger, better community as we support those in need right now in the Filipino community and all those who were in attendance. And finally, once again, thank you again to Jagmeet Singh for all of his dedicated service to Canada and to Canadians. We wish you well in the next chapter of your life for you and your family. Much success ahead, we hope for you. Thank you again as he resigns as the leader of the NDP party, moving forward from tonight's election where he lost his electoral district. Good night, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, and we will see you tomorrow at approximately 11:45 p.m. Pacific time. Once again, this is James Cousineau coming to you from the ProPix TV studios in Vancouver, British Columbia.